It's Ethan Skolnick for 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, and this is the latest season ticket sponsored by PrizePicks.com. Use the code 5. So a bad news day for the Miami Heat today. First, they find out that they're going to lose a second-round pick. The league decided that because of their pursuit of Kyle Lowry, because of tampering or not tampering, it's not quite clear, but they're going to lose a second-round pick. More importantly, though, they're going to lose Bam Adebayo for an extended period of time. Now, if you watch the game on Monday, the loss in which Adebayo started really slow and then had a strong third quarter, had 15 points and 5 rebounds during the third quarter alone, he was flexing his thumb and his hand quite a bit. Asked after the game about it, he said, "No, I'm fine." Turns out he's not fine. He's got a torn ligament in there. Now, the estimate in terms of a timetable, there's a little bit of a discrepancy here. We are hearing something very different from what ESPN reported. Now, the Miami Heat basically didn't give a timetable. It's not their practice to do so. We know that sometimes when they do, even behind the scenes, it's a little bit short of what it actually turns out to be. Think of like situations with Mike Miller, Justice Winslow, etc. ESPN came out and said 4 to 6 weeks. We're hearing that is the conservative best case scenario, 4 to 6 weeks, and it's likely to be close to twice as long as that. Now, if that's the case, you're talking about a bunch of issues here, not just for the team, but for Adebayo himself. First, let's start here. He's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, he misses that much time. Second, he's not going to be in the All-Star game because the All-Star game is in February, and it doesn't appear that Adebayo will be back before that, or if he is, it'll be a very short period of time, but more likely after that. But for the Heat, there are a lot of ramifications. I mean, first, as frustrated as Heat fans may have been with the passive nature of Bam on offense at times, he does so many different things for this team, right? I mean, he's a secondary ball handler. He is still their most productive rebounder, even though those numbers had tailed off, and that appeared to be somewhat due to a knee that was bothering him, so at least he gets to rest that for a period of time now. But also, we know that he can score, he gets to the line, he settles them in a lot of different ways, and he's basically the most versatile big man defender in the entire league, a guy who can get out and guard guards as well as forwards and centers. And so they are going to miss him, no question about it, and I think there's going to be much more appreciation for him in his absence than there was in his presence. But the other issue here is the Heat were thin in the front court to begin with, okay? They're still short a roster spot because they don't want to pay the luxury tax. And we also know they've got a couple of guys, Udonis Haslem and KZ Okpala, who don't play a whole lot. Omer Yurtseven wasn't playing a whole lot. Now it seems like he's going to have to off the bench because Dwayne Dedmon is going to start. Oh, and by the way, nobody's heard anything about Markieff Morris, right? Like, it's been now 12 games since Nikola Jokic blindsided him. Jokic missed just one game. And the team has just titled it as Whiplash, but we really haven't heard anything about Morris except, quote-unquote, he's making progress. But, I mean, again, it's been a dozen games. They kind of need Markieff Morris now, right? Maybe not as a starter, and maybe you let Dedmon start, but maybe off the bench to at least have a veteran there along with Yurtseven, or if you want to go small, you can play Morris at the 5 and maybe play Caleb Martin a little bit at the 4. So the Heat are a little bit down on options. The crazy thing about this is, we were talking about when Victor Oladipo would come back, right? Well, his timetable as we have it was kind of in that January-February range. He might be back before Bam. Now, that would totally change the way that this team plays because they would be so guard-heavy. So it's terrible timing. It means that you're going to have fewer dribble handoffs, which also is detrimental to Duncan Robinson, who is having his own trouble. And it also means you're going to need more scoring, not just from Jimmy Butler, of course, and Tyler Hero, but from Kyle Lowry. He's going to have to be much more aggressive than he has been, and he's got to give them some 20-point nights because Bam, again, for all the concerns about, well, was he aggressive enough? Was he an alpha? Was he going to take the next step? He still was giving you close to 20 a night. That's hard to replace, particularly from a player who can do so many other things. So we'll see what happens. We'll have more coverage here on 5 Reasons YouTube, 5 on the Floor, and, of course, we'll have our people at the game tonight against Cleveland.